Welcome to The Group Chat, a podcast hosted by Vic Kane, Pav Toure and Sunny Singh. This podcast will talk about all the things that matter, right here and now. We'll discuss and debate what's happening in popular culture, music, dating, and the craziness of everyday life. You've officially been added to The Group Chat.
Yay! It's wedding season! Woo!
No, it's not.
No Malkeet Singh, no DCS, none of that.
DCS.
None of that good. We're not allowed.
No H-Darmies.
I mean...
No Imperial drummers.
Oh,
No Imperial Drummers. No Kudos music.
Damn.
No Kudos music. Wedding season is on hold. And it's shitty. And we're really missing it right now.
It is shitty. Just the other day, I was reposting like videos of us playing Dawl, and I was like, "This
I
is
saw
like,
that.
this is the energy that I miss, man."
Yeah. I do
Like
miss that.
every weekend, even the weekdays, we'd be out in full force, just going like venue to venue, eating everyone's food at the bars, on these road trips.
So do you not feel that your weekends or your weekdays now just blend into your weekends because you kind of don't have anything exciting to look forward to? Because for me, I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to work during the day, but on the weekend, I'm going to be fucking banging my drum. No pun intended.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'd usually have this whole list of, like, dates to come. Now, it's just kind of like I don't know what day it is.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, do you know what? All winter I was looking forward to the summer season because of gigs. And now...
And Pav, we were on a roll. Like, you know, for those of you who don't know, Pav and I have a blog called The Life of a Dawl Player. And it's about all the background stuff that you never get to see when Dawl players come to your weddings. They rock up, they look smart, they perform, they leave. But there's so much more behind that. And we were that really picked up sort of towards the end of last year and the start of this year.
Yeah, no, exactly. And also we had quite a few projects lined up, didn't we?
We did.
Which everything unfortunately has been put on hold, which was quite disappointing. And it was, we had just started to pick up as well, which was even more frustrating. But yeah, like I said, we wait all winter for the summer season, and the summer season goes so quickly because, like you both mentioned, Monday to Friday.
Because we keep so busy.
Yeah, Monday, Friday is literally work, and then Friday evening to Sunday night is you're always at a gig somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, I miss it so much.
Yeah, we do. What else do you miss about weddings, guys?
Ooh.
I just
else?
like the
Food,
like,
man.
The food is
The
good,
food.
but
That's the first thing that came to my mind.
You know-
Starters over mains.
But you know what? I get sick of it after a while because we go to how many weddings? We go to maybe 3 or 4 receptions.
But right
a day.
now, I bet you're missing it.
Oh, 100%.
yeah, absolutely.
100%.
It's like I usually won't eat Indian food at home because I've had it literally all weekend.
Yeah. But it gets repetitive for us because, like, everyone has chili paneer, right? And we'll go to 2 receptions a day.
Yeah.
So we'll have it. What,
Which
4
chili paneer was better?
Yeah, so we'll have it like 4 times a week. So
Actually, I have to say there are some caterers out there that do make fantastic food.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Equally, there are some caterers out there that are questionable to how they're still operating. You know, but shout out to all the caterers and all the wedding suppliers that are, and all the event people that are having clearly such a tough time right now. The wedding season has been so badly hit.
Yeah.
But we hope you're still staying strong and you're able to come back and bounce back next year.
I'm sure they will. I was gonna say as well that one of the things that I find most exciting is just like, you know, the adrenaline, like the excitement of just getting ready to go meet up with the boys. You know, we always have our meeting point.
Oh, yeah.
At Redbridge
that's
roundabout.
Such an important point, right?
Yeah.
Where, you know, the people I play with are my school friends and friends that I've known for years.
Yeah.
So, you know, my closest friends are the people I play with. It's just we naturally spend so much time together.
Yeah.
And it is just...
And we make, and that's how we make
Full of
so many
banter.
memories.
But do you know what else it is? Like, with us, we go to the studio a couple of nights before to rehearse. And so even the rehearsals are quite fun as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, Vic, you've joined like me, Sonny, and all of us. We all go in together.
Yeah.
And 3 hours of rehearsal sounds like a long time, but it's such a good time.
And even that time flies by because we're just kind of like messing around, practicing, you know.
Yeah, and you know when they say like enjoy what you do, like I genuinely enjoy what I do,
Yeah.
and it shows because even when we're rehearsing, like it's just so much fun. And
You know
obviously when it comes off,
it's such a release as well, you know, like from having, I mean, I know we all have jobs where we're sitting down, you know, when we're on stage, it's a different feeling. It's a different, like that atmosphere.
Do you know, I remember the one time I wore a Fitbit while doing a set.
How many
I think
calories?
my heart rate went up to like 140 beats per minute at the peak.
oh wow,
Sick.
Which is quite high. And sustaining that for, how long is that set? 35 minutes?
35 minutes,
Mm.
yeah, I'd say.
Give or take.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a great workout. But yeah, weird. It's a weird vibe with the wedding season right now. So just to give everyone a download for those of you who are listening and perhaps aren't in the UK and are unaware, weddings have essentially been on hold during this COVID-19 lockdown, and it's only been recently that the government has allowed us to have our weddings and have a maximum of 30 people.
Yeah.
30 guests. Now,
It's
could
quite
you imagine?
It's quite a strong limitation.
Yeah, could you imagine an Indian family trying to reduce their 500 guest wedding to 30? I just don't see that happening.
Well, let's be very honest, right? When we say 500 people wedding, we're usually thinking receptions, but how many people actually turn up to the wedding ceremony in the morning?
That's very true.
True.
You know?
Yeah.
But even then, that is a massive, massive cut. Like some people's immediate families are more than 30.
So, if you're getting married at a Gurdwara, does that 30 include the Gyani and then the Gyani actually conducting the ceremony?
Let's not forget about the committee member that stands at
Yeah,
the
let's not forget about the
funding.
committee member.
But rightfully so. Say if there was a 30-person wedding, like 30 guests, they're saying basically, does that include 6 imperial drummers?
Well, there you are. There you are.
Well,
I
we're
think-
not
I
guests technically.
think- And then does that include DJs and roadies? And then
Yeah,
what about
yeah,
the
yeah.
catering stuff?
But then you wouldn't have a reception for 30 people.
Well, just hire out a pub, right?
Hire out a pub. Well, some of those are closed down now again.
So
Anyway.
we have a beautiful wedding, you know, in the Gurdwara or the church or the mosque or, you know, wherever you
Or
are.
the Bull's Head.
And then receptions in the spoons.
But I think a lot of people will just sort of have the wedding. Obviously, for Sikh weddings and stuff, it's always done at the Gurdwara. So they'll do that, and then everyone will just go back to their house and just have like a barbecue or something. Because there's nothing.
And the thing is, anything that's done at home, they can't exactly apply any restrictions because it's not in like an actual venue. You know,
Yeah.
some houses that have so much space, people can hire out a big marquee and have way more than 30 people. But what I'm wondering is how did they come up with the number 30? Why not 50? Why not even 100?
Good question.
You know?
I think it's probably like, how easy would it be to trace back
But think,
those people? If
30 is like a classroom of kids,
But do you
like
know what?
when you're at school.
But do you know what, boys?
That's a good point.
That 30 is the same number that you're allowed at a funeral. It's the same number that you're allowed everywhere else. I think they've just taken the number 30 and just applied it to everything. Because if you go to a funeral, the maximum amount of people you're allowed to have is 30. If you have a part, you can't invite more than 30 people. So I think the number 30 is just, they've just said, all right, 30 will cover enough guests for everybody.
So I think we're never going to know, really, right? We're not in the political circle. We don't really know why there are 30. Yeah.
I feel like that number's going to get quickly defied though. Like, people aren't going to stick around 30. They're going to be like, oh, it's around 30. It's kind of 30, but
I don't really think they care that much.
nah.
I don't think the government actually cares. I think if you got 40, they're not going to care.
Like many other things, and I'm sorry to say, it might be some sort of a bit of a scare tactic to kind of like be like, no, look, keep it at this. Otherwise, there's going to be repercussions, and I don't know what that is apart from people thinking that they're going to get the virus.
But then,
you know
but
what
the,
I mean?
but the thing is, surely from an economical standpoint, it would be beneficial for them to say, all right, have bigger weddings because you'd then be spending more on them. The same way they're going to open gyms and they've opened up pubs and restaurants and whatnot because it's supposedly going to, like, well, there to save the economy.
Yeah.
It would be the same concept. But for some reason, when it comes to weddings, they're saying no, you can only have a maximum of 30. Now, is that because they know brown people don't know how to social distance?
Could you imagine if, yes, you can have a wedding, but you have to introduce social distancing in your Asian family wedding, your reception? Like, that's never
Hell
gonna
no,
happen.
because most of the time during that wedding, the bar is full of all the blokes all together having their drinks. No one's really gonna distance themselves. I think naturally no one's really gonna think about that. People are just gonna have their fancy embroidered masks on,
Yeah.
you know, to kind of like fit in.
But let's be honest, Vic. The pubs opened up last weekend? Did you see the pictures of everybody standing outside?
And I did put a post up where I was actually quite pissed.
Well, this is exactly it.
Yeah.
So a wedding reception would literally be no different.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I don't believe for a second that any bride worth their salt would get an outfit, get dressed up, just to wear a mask.
Well, at least they only need to put makeup on half their face.
Yeah, maybe.
That I think. Can you imagine, like, we're taking the mask off and you just got this line of,
Yeah,
of like
tan line.
half done makeup on your face.
Yeah.
Ouch.
That is a grim scene. So has anybody heard of a lockdown wedding? Is there anybody out there that's having lockdown weddings?
I have, and I think I did mention this in our second episode, where a friend of mine on Instagram has actually gotten a lockdown wedding, and they just did a small thing at home. It was pretty cool. They had like a little Monday to set up, and they just done that, and I think it was pretty nice. Like, it is very much dependent on the couple, whether they're quite chill, they're not too worried about having a big reception that is probably quite maybe meaningless because of the amount of people there. You know, with this, you save so much more money. You can think about treating yourself to a better honeymoon, or traveling the world, you know, or getting your own place. That money can be used in so many better ways rather than nearly. I mean, we've been to weddings that have cost over 100 grand sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, and to think about that much money coming and going in one day.
But say you've always had the ambition of having the wedding of your dreams,
Which a lot of people do. Yeah.
which is, you know, something people aspire to.
That's like the fairy tale type wedding.
And that's completely fine.
Yeah.
Would you be content settling for a smaller wedding? And I use settling loosely because people may just change their minds and think that it's better to have a smaller wedding. I'm personally a fan of smaller weddings. It's more intimate, and I like that.
I agree.
And I'm definitely not a fan of spending 20, 50, 60 pounds a head on, you know, next Tom, Dick and Harry.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, I remember going, like, we've been to so many weddings, and like the big venues that are hired out for thousands of hundreds of people, and there's not much engagement happening, or like they're not really that lively. Yet there's this video of me doing an entrance on YouTube of this little small wedding, Gora wedding.
Oh, I've seen this.
And it's nice, it's intimate. It's literally like probably, I don't know, not a huge room, but probably about 150 guests maybe. And they're loving it. Like, they are giving it all. And I think something like that is way better.
Pav, just a point. Could you imagine? So we went to that wedding in Disney.
Oh yeah.
Could you imagine, like, having all of that planned and then having to cancel?
Yeah, exactly. That would have.
I mean, it's either so it's either have the wedding at Disney or hire a hall and have Disney projected onto the walls.
Oh, exactly. You know,
big difference.
Just Disney Plus playing,
yeah,
playing
exactly.
in the background.
Exactly.
But I think, you know, I definitely do emphasize for all of those people who had their weddings planned for this year, because it's stressful, you know, it's not nice.
It's a lot of
you
time,
look forward to something, and as a family collectively, I was supposed to be at a wedding in India, in Punjab, and that got cancelled, and we were all devastated. Like, we were all absolutely gutted that the wedding was cancelled.
And I mean, in India, these weddings are literally parades down the
I know,
streets.
right? And we, you know, I'm really excited to wear a bug. We were gonna get someone in.
I don't think
to
I've
tie a
seen
bug.
you in a bug.
I've never worn a bug.
I
Not
have
not
not
since
seen you
I've
in a
been
bug.
over the age of like 10 anyway.
Damn. I think it'd suit you.
Yeah.
I'll Photoshop
Photoshop
a bug
one,
onto
yeah.
you and put it onto a story, yeah.
As long
So
as
we
you-
can show people how it would look.
As long as you don't charge me.
No. I'll invoice you later.
So yeah, you know, I think it's weird. I definitely would be hesitant about getting married during this lockdown. You know, it must be tough for people who are trying to plan, and I don't know how helpful or supportive the wedding industry has been, because of course the wedding industry is suffering. It's one of the hardest hit industries, and you know, alongside travel. But
I personally haven't seen any like posts where like any wedding planners are kind of like giving maybe like some sort of tips of like,
Oh, yeah.
I guess, this is what we can provide for
yeah,
you now.
like relief. Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Oh, I have. To
Have
be
you?
fair.
Have
I
you?
have. Yeah. There have been a couple of wedding planners who have blogged about it and sort of given tips on, you know, how to deal with
What they can
this-
now offer couples
Yeah,
and stuff?
yeah,
Okay.
and sort of just tips and, you know, how to go through this period and planning and all sorts of stuff. So I have seen a few, and like a few of them are genuinely very supportive.
I guess naturally the most scariest thing is because that a lot of families have put together the money to like put down deposits on certain suppliers and stuff like that.
So here's the thing: I've heard horror stories about venues now basically taking the piss with their people's deposits and stuff. So a lot of them aren't refunding deposits and basically
Yeah,
saying to the
Which is very bad, yeah.
basically saying to the couples, you need to postpone. And so I can't mention names, but there's a specific venue that's basically said to a friend of mine that even her wedding was supposed to be in May. It obviously got cancelled due to coronavirus, so she pushed it back to November. But they go, you can't have it next year. It has to be in the off season.
So they're kind of forcing people's hands and not giving them much choice. To
And their reason is, well, we're gonna have bookings next year. We need to keep the dates open for them.
But I kind of do understand. Like, it is.
No, see, I'm not sure I agree with that.
I'm not saying I agree. I'm saying I understand. I'm saying that I can understand from a business standpoint where you would want to, first of all, retain your income for this year as much as you can, and also not impede on the bookings. Because if you're pushing a wedding from this year to 2020, you're losing out revenue.
Okay, but here's the thing. So
Yeah, it's shitty. Don't get me wrong. Like, I would be absolutely devastated, but I do understand.
no, but that's not the piss take in the story. The where they've started to take the piss, what they did with my friend was they said, even if you want to get married in November, you paid an X amount for a deposit. We now need an extra Y.
right.
And when you question them, they were like, well, if you don't pay it, someone else is going to pay it. And so we've got so many people now postponing in that period and postponing to that period, sorry. Now it's like a free for all. Whoever's going to pay the most will get the date. So I think they've gone back and forth. They've argued. The venue has eventually agreed, but now her Gurdwara ceremony and her reception are on 2 different days because they couldn't get the dates to match.
Oh damn.
Yeah, but it's caused a hell of a lot of stress, and some venues have genuinely just taken the piss.
I
And
think
they're
some
charging people
venues
more.
maybe don't have the best organisation skills when it comes, because they've never experienced something like that.
I mean, I was shocked when I
Yeah,
like I said, I
we
can't
have
make-
seen that firsthand, like venues that are quite poor.
I mean,
Mm.
I can't mention the
Organisation.
venue that we're talking about, but
Okay.
when if I did tell you guys, you'd be shocked because it is probably
Wait.
up there.
Who is it, Pav? Can you whisper it to me? What? Okay, we'll blur it out.
Yeah, you have to
We'll
blur
blur
it
it
out.
out.
Beep.
Yeah, I'm talking,
So we'll blur out what Pav just said.
yeah,
And
yeah. I don't want no law case against you guys.
but
But yeah, it's terrible. It's horrible, and it's just. I mean, I know we as Imperial Drummers, we've taken a genuine effort to, if we can postpone it whenever we can, but if we can't,
course,
just take
yeah.
the deposit back.
Because we feel like that's the right thing to do, of course, and not make people feel like that they're kind of stuck in this thing that they can't really get out of.
For the Asian industry as well, the weddings are so culturally significant. They're so important to people, and it's one of the things. Like, how many times have you heard people go, I just love a wedding. Like I just want a Punjabi wedding.
Oh
or
yeah, yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
You know, how many times have you just heard that? So, I think it could be. I think it will be a huge impact for us. Like, if this is not sorted out, if this continues to next year, it'll be a massive impact for us. I
So,
think.
question for you guys. I mean, like, already as weddings were, there's so many families that end up falling out because someone decided that someone's not going to get invited, and you know,
That's going to be a million times worse now.
yeah, because now there's that limit. You have to cut out bare people.
Yeah.
Like, what do you
I
think
mean,
people are going to be thinking?
But the majority of people should understand. Like, if you're not an
Do
immediate
you
family
think? Do you think
member-
Indian families are going to be understanding?
To be fair,
But they have to be.
to be fair, my parents have just said that there's a wedding on Monday, which we would have been invited to. Just that's another point. People are going to move away from just doing weddings on weekends. Weddings will now move to weekdays.
Weekdays, yeah.
I think they already started. To be
Yeah,
fair.
well, that's my point. There's a wedding on Monday
Yeah.
because you know, couple wanted to get married and they're
Apparently,
having 30,
apparently
40
there's a
people.
few coming up in August as well.
Yeah, and so that's going to be a big change, you know, because to your point about who we're going to cut out, well, if you're willing to take the time off work to attend my wedding, let's face it, unless you're close, you're probably not going to do that. You know, I think the number will naturally reduce, and I do think that this generation will think differently about how they're approaching weddings. A big wedding won't be the most important thing.
Yeah,
I
think. I mean, like, it's been so important to so many people for a long time.
Yes.
Because they want to kind of show that, oh, look, we've got the money to put on a sick reception party, you know, and have loads of people there, put on this big show. But now, is that really top priority?
I think if you have the money, you'll still do it.
Yeah.
But for the majority of people who, I'm not saying they're poor, but like if they're just sort of your average Joe,
Yeah.
you'd definitely question, well, why should I spend so much money?
I think that's going to be a massive trend as well.
Essentially, weddings were always considered this thing. You do the like the church ceremony or like signing
The registry.
the
The
registry,
civil
yeah,
ceremony.
exactly, yeah, civil ceremony, and that was kind of it. Then, you know, people just had this
Well,
little get together.
But you have to do that by
afterwards.
English law.
Yeah.
For Indian weddings, it was just a ceremony. So for us, it was just in encourage. For Hindu weddings, it's
Yeah, but then that whole other part of it, the whole reception and, you know, all the rest, that got added on just so that people could party more.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. That's the cultural side of things, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
you know, for many people, do they need to do the Indian wedding? And that's, like I said, the cultural religious part for it. For some people, the civil wedding means nothing. Legally, I don't care if I'm married, as long as I'm married in front of the presence of God. That's when the marriage is most significant for me.
Sure,
yeah,
sure,
that's
yeah.
me, to be fair.
Yeah.
Just a point. I think the trend is changing massively. I think the generations that are coming, and perhaps a majority of our generation, is a lot more price conscious. They will no longer splash out on things that are perhaps less tangible. And by that, I don't think we're gonna see I think we're going to see a decrease in the size of weddings over the long term, because people feel that it's far more beneficial to actually save the 30 to 150 grand, which is probably, I know that's a very broad price range, but that is what
It's
people
realistic.
spend.
No, it's definitely realistic. Yeah.
And I think people will opt to save that money and do something that's more intimate, and actually put that money towards
Their future.
getting a house.
Yeah.
And I think it's now proven that actually, it's a funny article saying that majority of people will probably never own a house in their lives. You
Because
know?
of
And for us,
prices.
we're very much instilled in our heads that getting married, getting a house, those are the tangible steps that you would take.
course.
But sorry, my laptop's just being funny again. I want to avoid what happened last time. Yes, I'm still recording.
That's fine.
You know, oh shit, I've lost my train of thought. Damn you, laptop. let's move on.
So
down
you
that.
know you basically you were talking about the trend of houses, people maybe not spending as much on weddings and sort of saving up for houses
Sorry,
deposits.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank
yeah,
you,
yeah.
Pat.
That
At
kind of
least
stuff.
somebody listens.
I was listening.
I think I think. Oh, shit, I just lost it again.
So you
Pat,
basically
Say it again.
So obviously you were talking about people now saving for deposits on houses and the fact that
Yes. Sorry, it's back now.
try not to forget this time.
Deja vu.
So
So in this
So-
lifetime,
So
not
I
many
think
people. Yeah.
There's an article that people in this lifetime, on average, will never actually own a house because they pay rent. And for people who do live out and pay rent, it is difficult. If you're a single person, it is difficult to buy a house. So I think the mentality will shift and change.
Yeah.
I do think, and this may seem as slightly self-cannibalizing, but because we're in the wedding industry, but I think people who take out immense loans to afford a flashy wedding,
Yeah.
you're shooting yourself in the foot, mate.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
It's very detrimental, and I've always said this, like the people that go that far to put on a wedding in like one day, no matter how much money people decide to put into their wedding, there's always going to be the people that won't even that will have something to say about it that
Do you
they
know
didn't
what?
enjoy.
I remember all of us playing. I don't know if I know you, Vic, you were there. I don't think you were, Pav, but we were playing at a wedding in Birmingham, and I remember there being like almost 700 people in this hall. Like that, it was
This
between
is,
500 and 700. Where there were the steps, and we were performing on the steps.
Right. I wasn't there.
So I remember looking at all the people that are sitting at the back of the hall, and they're sitting there, and there was immense echo in the venue, and you couldn't really hear what was happening at the front. And I was just thinking, why would you have these people here? Like, what's the point?
Sure.
If you're trying to give off a flashy wedding, like, people are always going to criticize. Like, I think if that's your goal with your wedding, to show off to other people, you're doing a marriage for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
A wedding
Absolutely
should be
agreed.
a celebration of
Two
your
people.
love,
Yep.
of the two people.
No matter
With-
where you are.
Yeah, no matter where you are, with your closest friends and family.
Absolutely.
And that's what it should be about.
Yeah.
And I think people have lost the plot a little bit. I think people need to
It
hold
it has
back.
become one of those things of a status. They wanna have this thing where they
But-
be like, look, this is our wedding.
But I
This is
just
what
want to say, I completely understand the importance of having a dream wedding. And I understand there's, for some people, both men and women from a young age, they dream
is their
about
aspiration.
the perfect, they dream about a perfect wedding.
Yeah.
And, I don't think I'm not trying to say if you want, a carriage and a horse that you've lost the plot. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is do things within your capable means.
Yeah, which is absolutely right.
And don't do them for other people.
Don't do things for other people. Pav, you
Another
nailed it.
great point.
Pav,
Yeah.
Pav nailed it there.
Yeah.
Don't do things other people. If
Yeah.
there's something you genuinely want to do it. But if it's something that you're doing
Because
just
someone else said that you
as
should.
a facade because someone else did something and you want to do better, if that's the way you're living your life, like constantly comparing yourselves to others, you're living a very sad life.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
I mean, in my opinion, I completely agree with you, Sonny. I think we are moving into that sort of era where weddings aren't about having 500 people there anymore. And you're absolutely right. A lot of us, we have ambitions to own a house and stuff. So, for us, yeah, we wouldn't want to spend so much money when we can save up for a deposit in a house. But having said that, I feel like future trends will also become, well, instead of spending 50, 60 grand on a wedding reception here, let's just do a wedding abroad.
Yes.
It'll still become more intimate, and it would probably still cost half the price.
The people that are still even doing like weddings abroad that I've known of, they do have more limited number of people because not everyone can spend on flying out or taking the time out because of work, I guess, or because of hotel costs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Even if they are reduced, all these bulk sort of like offers that some hotels do,
But obviously with the current climate, if you plan a wedding for 2021 in somewhere abroad, do you risk there being another outbreak of something like COVID-19.
There you go.
or
That's the
coronavirus.
nice
See,
thing
I
to
would-
think about.
I would purely hold off just because I know when things go back to normal, they're going to be inflated prices on everything.
Yeah.
You know, why would you want to spend more?
And
for
also, you know, a lot of people want to have their, you know, cherished older family members who may be at risk of something like COVID-19 or who may be unable to fly and won't be able to attend the wedding. And for that for many people, that's very, very important. And
Sure.
that will take away, you know, a certain level of intimacy from the wedding. So, you know, I don't know. It's for each individual to decide, but
Yeah.
I think, you know, it's difficult right now for
You know,
wedding
I was
planners and
I was just gonna pick up on one thing that in the UK, people spend money on their weddings in different ways. Like over here, they will splash out on cars. We've seen lineups of supercars and everything, right? And in what's wrong, Pav?
No, nothing. What be me?
What, have you not seen lineup of supercars?
no, I do.
No,
I
I
have.
have.
I
seen
remember running in front of 4 horses and supercars behind us. There was 4 drummers, me, Gokira, Sam, and Sean. We were jogging with our dolls in front of this like lineup of like a Bharat
Yeah,
entrance.
yeah.
It was mad. But when we went to Jakarta, they do not splash out on cars at all. So didn't see one supercar, no nothing. They mainly like have this like, I don't know, they do this kind of thing where they have like food from all over the world.
Oh,
that's
the
cool.
the stalls.
And so yeah,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
and I
yeah,
think
yeah.
that's sick.
that's
That
more of an
experience out there is very
experience,
different.
than
Yeah.
having
yeah.
And
a line
I
around
think that was
us.
something that I noticed pretty different, pretty different.
I
over
think
there.
that depends on the cultural aspect of it. So, for example, Pakistani
in
weddings.
the UAE they'll do that all the time.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. In
Yeah.
Pakistani weddings, the majority of them will spend money on stuff like cars and stuff like that. You
yeah,
go to a Punjabi wedding and fucking spend it on booze.
yeah.
Like, there's a massive difference.
Crates and
You know,
crates of
we need,
Chivas.
we need like a
Black
massive,
label.
Yeah, we need like a massive DJ setup and all sorts of stuff, and they just
Yeah.
don't need it. So
Yeah.
it all depends from a cultural perspective.
Again, in the UAE, they would probably more likely have a live band rather than in the UK having a DJ set up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
that's true.
That is
exactly.
what they do. Yeah.
In India, what do they spend money on in India? It's definitely not massive venues and stuff. What the hell do they spend money on in India?
Horses? No.
I think a lot of them. I think they're the really traditional ones. I think their weddings to the point where they'll spend like the girl side will end up spending more than the boy side for whatever reason. I don't really know what they spend.
That's
money
a
on.
good conversation, actually.
I have been to a 5-day wedding
Let's just
in
touch
Dubai
on that
once.
for a second. Let's just talk about the girls' side spending.
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
Majority
because
of
expect
money.
it's expected that the girl side pays for everything, isn't that how
Yeah.
they say
So,
it?
Pav, you're probably the best person to explain this. Why is that? Traditionally, why is that?
Why is what? Why?
Why is the girl side more likely
Expected to pay.
traditionally? Why is it the girl side is expected to pay?
I feel like the reason why it's like that is because in Indian culture, the boy side they are seen and treated like royalty, and when you're giving the girl to the boy's family, you know you want to keep them as happy as possible because tomorrow they are going to look after your daughter essentially, right?
Sure.
So it's like
And who brings the gifts? Like during a juggle, the guys bring the gifts to the girls, right?
no. So the way it usually works is if at the it's not even 50-50. When it's usually the girl side tends to give more to the boy side. So for example, I don't know if you've ever seen a milni.
Yeah.
When they do a milni,
Yeah.
the girl side will give a ring, or they'll give a kambal, or they'll give something to the boy side.
Sure.
Basically, in a nutshell, it's you're not ass licking, but you're like basically saying, you know what, you're gonna take my daughter here, and just trying to keep them happy, and you just give them loads and loads of stuff. So you'll give them suits, you'll give them rings, you'll give them jewelry,
Sure.
all sorts of
if,
stuff.
If anybody wants to marry me in the future, please, I'd be open to a PlayStation 5.
Yeah, I don't think it works like that.
You never know. There might be a PlayStation 6 out by then.
Yeah.
Fuck off. I'm not gonna get married that.
Coming to that, I did ask you this question earlier, and it's interesting to know what age did you expect yourself to get married at,
No.
if you were to. Now,
No, I'm 28
Yeah.
now. I think Pav, you're 28.
I'm
Vic,
28.
you're 28.
Yep.
From a very, very young age, I expected. And I remember telling my parents, "Yeah, I'm gonna get married at a very late age," and I'm very content with that.
Okay, cool.
I'm
I
quite
think that's
happy with
good.
that.
I think a lot of people do get pressure even today that they need to get married by or thinking to get married by like 24, 25. And I think that is the kind of age where a lot of people are getting married and ending up
But
divorced quite quickly
I think,
as well.
I think as the generations, and this may be a sad thing for some people. But this is reality. As sort of, a lot of the people who live in the UK and Western countries are first or second generations. Therefore, the influence from their parents who are a bit more traditional is still there. But as the generations move on and the influence gets weaker, I think we will find that Asian families will adopt a more Western
Way of
style
thinking, yeah.
where people have kids before they get married,
Yeah.
or don't get married but stay as couples,
Yeah, yeah.
or move in together, or may get married at their late 30s
Yeah.
or 40s.
I always say that marriage isn't the most important destination. Like, it's not like, you live to get married and that's it. That's
I
the
think
end.
for some people it clearly is.
Yeah, I just actually checked up on something, and I think when it comes down to the bride side paying for everything, it's kind of like a pride thing for the family, like the father of the bride
Oh,
being
really?
like, look,
Okay, I didn't know that.
we can provide in a sense, and that I know that a lot of families, since their like daughters are young or whatever, when they're born, they start saving for those weddings from then, like their whole life savings for what they work for and working so hard. They want to provide the best wedding they can for their kids.
I'll be very frank, unless she was a millionaire,
Yeah.
where she's loaded, I would hate for that to happen. I would hate for that financial burden to be on,
Yeah.
my girlfriend or wife or fiance or whatever you want to call it.
So you'd call it a financial burden, but then when it comes down to Indian mentality, some
but it-
even struggle to pay
But
food
it's a
for each other.
financial burden that's been normalized,
Yeah.
and I would definitely be go 50-50.
Because
I think that's
sometimes you
or-
come across your friends who are going to get married and they speak to each other, and if they were to speak to us and saying, oh yeah, so I'm looking to get married in this year, I'm like, yo, congratulations, that's amazing. They're like, yeah, it's fine, girl side's paying for everything anyway, so like it's all right.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
or
are you okay with that?
what I'd be down for is, listen, 50 grand, you pay for the wedding, I've got the deposit for the house. Boom.
I
That
think
is a
I think
partnership
that,
right there.
that's a good compromise.
But
yeah.
I think that's the way we're going. Like that's our generation I'm talking about. Like I feel like we're always gonna say, well, let's just do 50-50. It's the older generation that are still like,
Yeah.
no, that's the girl side. They need to pay more. The
So
boy
essentially,
side.
do you feel like the older generation is the problem trying to uphold a tradition?
Yeah, but that's not necessarily a bad thing because that's what they know. Like, you can't hate on the older generation for that.
No, in all fairness, you can to an extent. Because I feel like even though you are the older generation, if you're in the UK or the US or wherever you are, or even in India, to be fair, like you have to move with the times. You can't stay culturally stuck like you're in the 1940s and 50s.
That's true, but you have to remember that they've come from an environment where, they're not, when I think about Indian parents who have grown up in the 60s and 70s and the 80s, they didn't have this exposure of what other cultures were like. This is all you know. And if that's all you know, that's all you know.
Yeah, but
but
the
you know
people that
what?
have moved-
As time's gone on, some of the shit is just made up though as well. Honestly,
But if you're a 60-year-old man and you've grown up with a certain tradition your whole life, I guarantee you guys, you're not going to change. That is who you are.
No, but my point being is, like, my parents, for example, they were from India, but they've lived here for the last, since God knows how long. But my point is they have adjusted their mentalities to the country.
If I remember correctly, your dad moved over here when he was 3 years old.
Yes.
That does not count. He didn't grow up
Okay, but
in
my
that
mum didn't.
culture.
My mum came here when she was, 20-something? But my point being is they've gone out of their way, well, not out of their way, but they've adapted to the country we live in. They've modernized their mentalities.
I do get.
I just feel like loads of parents just don't do that.
I do get what you're saying, but I also appreciate it's very, very difficult.
Yeah,
if
I'm not.
you've
It's
grown
not.
up. If you've grown up with a certain mentality, it's very, very hard to shift that. You know, and do you know, I really like some of the Indian traditional values that my parents have upheld
Oh no,
or
absolutely.
upheld, because I think it's helped me progress. It's helped me be unique and helped me do things. But there are certainly traditional things that I absolutely hate.
I think there's certainly like certain parts of traditions that we love to learn. Like we've gained so much knowledge about, you know, history and stuff.
Yeah.
Like why you go around the sorry, what's it called in a good a certain number of times, and what that symbolizes, what that means.
Yeah.
Clearly I haven't learned enough about it because I forgot what it's called.
No,
Guru
but,
Granth
no,
Sahib.
but no,
Well-
I get it. He's talking about the lava.
Yeah, I know, but you
that-
said you were talking
Sorry,
about what we got.
that's the word I was looking
Yeah.
for. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's certain other things, and I feel like I've experienced it so many times with. I'm just gonna say it. My Dai does my head in with this shit. She does. Like,
Shout out
she,
to
like,
Next Day.
oh my god, please. Like when we're sometimes at these like family gatherings and juggles, or you know, like pre-weddings and stuff like that, that it seems like it's the most important thing that we can't go home without doing a specific thing, like boys' side standing on this side and all the girls' side men standing on this side and greeting each other. I'm like, what the when the fuck did this happen?
What? Are
And
you
that's
talk-
not
are you-
Milne.
No. Oh, that's not. The
No, it's not the Milne. This is
Oh.
some next shit.
Oh, I don't know.
Have you never like questioned why you do certain things?
I do question it, and then when I question it, it's kind of like, okay, just don't do it. I'm like, yeah, cool. I'm just gonna I will remove myself
So
from
you're
these
saying
situations.
that's not the Milne?
Yeah, this is not the Milne.
I mean, if they're okay for you
I
to
think,
not do it.
So I think the Milne is a beautiful tradition.
yeah, I love
think
that. I think it's amazing.
I love it.
Yeah.
But if you're saying that's,
It's so full of energy and life, but this is just like, it's kind of like forcing us to kind of
you
like
try and pick up someone
do
that's bigger
some
than you, and
like
then
I
you
don't know
feel
what new tradition this is. I've never seen this before, or what we're trying to accomplish here by just doing this in front of our own families.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, if somebody listening has an opinion or has seen something unusual, like what's the weirdest tradition you've seen at a wedding?
Yeah, that would be great to know.
Like, let us know, and we'll share it around on our next.
Like it's weird
podcast.
because some of the traditions are just purely out of fun,
Mm.
like stealing the groom's shoes.
Yeah.
That's just purely out.
You know what I feel like? I feel like the reason why a lot of people love to do that though as well, because of certain songs and movies that we've seen that happen in so many times, like Bollywood movies, where
But I mean, that still come from somewhere, right?
yeah.
I mean, I don't
it has.
understand why you don't just buy 2 pairs of shoes, and if they still want, you've still got another
Put
pair.
the other
like,
ones on.
like-
I've got another pair.
yeah, like,
it's like
it's really not that hard.
Let me tell you a story. At my brother's wedding, we gave Pav and an other friend of ours, Manvir, a job. And that job
big
was
up Manveer. I know who that
hold
is.
on to my brother's shoes.
Oh my god, we got wrestled for those shoes.
Hold on to my brother's shoes and make sure nobody takes them.
Yeah.
What do? They literally went, take the shoes.
No, we didn't do
Other
that. No,
side of the
we didn't even
family.
do that. No, like I got wrestled. I know some auntie like started wrestling with me for it. Like she literally grabbed my wrist and started pulling the shoe. I was
No.
like, shit. She was like, you're not taking them. You're not taking them. I'm like, fine, I can take them. Man. I want my life. It was really bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you
Thanks,
guys
Pav.
remember on Instagram this post that came up of everyone gathered outside someone's house, and the groom couldn't see the bride,
So you climbed up.
and he climbed up and
Yeah,
went
yeah,
through the
yeah,
window.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that was amazing. I think that's like he's like breaking this norm of like, oh, you're not allowed to see your bride or whatever.
Yeah.
And he climbed up in his sherwani with his sword and everything through the window, and I think that was amazing to watch.
But
as a
I
video.
genuinely feel as the years go on, maybe by the time our kids get married, half of these traditions just won't be around anymore.
Mm.
I genuinely feel that the weddings will just become so much more simpler because half of the traditions people don't understand. Half of them is just
Also,
it's just long.
I feel like at some weddings, people just need to communicate, man. The families need to communicate. I swear to God, there was an entrance I was waiting to do once. This was okay, fair. It was a Muslim wedding. I was waiting to do an entrance outside Decorum. I started playing Dole, and I think it was the bride or groom's dad. Very traditional Muslim man.
And he stopped you.
And he stopped
Yeah,
me.
that's
He got
very
his
common.
walking stick and started pushing at my door to make me stop. And I was like, what the hell's going on? I was like, what the hell's going on here?
I don't know what the cultural significance
And
of that is.
this
I
is the
don't
thing,
think
like
some-
there are some older generations that don't believe that you should play any music
but the
during
younger
wedding.
generation love it.
Yeah, and so,
So,
obviously
yeah.
these two generations did not even tell each other that they were going to be doing this.
I think it's just a conflict.
Yeah, and I mean, it was bizarre for me. It was the first time it happened, and I was like, yo, you need to pay me, and then I'll leave. Fine.
So, okay, I've got a final question, and we can wrap this up.
Go ahead.
And you know, we're door players. We've been to a lot of weddings. We've all thought about it. Don't lie to me. What's your dream wedding?
Stop. Damn.
What's your dream wedding? Don't tell me you haven't been to a wedding and think, oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I like this. What's your
See now.
I don't need to know. I don't want you to tell me. So when we walk in, we're gonna have some flowers, and then the bride's gonna do this. Then you know, whoever's gonna do a speech, and it's gonna be funny.
Sure.
No. Top level. What's your dream wedding? What's the vibe?
See, as an artist, it's difficult because I'm always thinking creatively, and I'm like, damn, I could take any one of these weddings that I've already been to and
I can imagine
level this shit up.
I can imagine you seeing, well, if you're not marrying someone Indian and you're not having an Indian wedding, seeing a white bridal dress as a blank canvas and say, do you mind if I just draw all over your wedding dress?
No, but you see, like these like digital wedding portraits that I've done for a lot of clients. It's kind of like I could imagine that being in like a portrait setup, which would be huge and amazing and vibrant. Like I'm thinking vibrancy. I'm thinking like, you know, good music from all cultures around the world, not just Hindi or Punjabi music playing throughout, having a bit of background music and all that. I want this to be like, man, it's so hard to describe. I can imagine it, but it's kind of like, I don't want the norms.
Okay.
You know, I'm all about breaking norms, so it's like, yeah, it's gonna change, man, and I have to be that game changer.
Okay,
But-
well, Vic's going to have a game-changing wedding.
Hell yeah.
I better get an invite.
Just
for that.
wate on me until I
If you're
figure
not,
out how
Pam
that's
and I
gonna happen.
gate crash.
Yeah.
Like the
Brilliant.
Wedding Crashers. I should watch that.
That's a
recently. It's
sick
quite good
movie. It is a good movie.
Yeah.
Because you know, as doll players, like we could, obviously we're there to play doll, but if we weren't there to play doll, you know the amount of times we would have gotten away with just turning up. Like no one's ever
It is
questioned.
weird.
Have you
Yeah.
actually ever gate crashed someone's wedding and played door?
No.
Uh,
Why would you gate crash to play doll?
Pav and I have definitely gate crashed a wedding.
So have I.
And
Wait, when did we gate crash? I can't remember.
I did one at City Pavilion once.
Holborn.
Oh
Grand
yeah,
Canal, above Sway.
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Pav, what's your ideal or dream wedding?
It would have to be. It'd have to be somewhere.
Are you gonna
abroad.
tailor it to the girl?
Yeah, like the last episode.
To be fair,
He's gonna do it at a farm.
Petting zoo.
That's where Pav takes all his
nah,
dates.
you know what? To be fair, like it's a difficult question to ask because my missus to be would also have a idea of a wedding. I don't personally give a shit as much as her, so she'd probably.
You'll go with whatever she wants.
To the most part, like there'll be certain things that I'm a bit anal about. I reckon it would have to be abroad. Like I think I'm sick and tired.
Where
of-
abroad? Abroad is so many places. You have the world open to you.
I don't really know any other country. I don't know how many. Depends.
So Pav's clearly never thought.
Where? Okay.
No,
okay.
you know what it is. You know what it is.
Can
'Cause I need a gurdwara, so I don't know what countries don't have gurdwara, which ones do.
Can
Like,
you
does
not,
Spain-
Can you,
You
not,
can
do
you
you
can always
have to have
turn a
Gurdwara?
chapel into a gurdwara.
Do you have to have a Gurdwara though?
I would personally like one, yeah.
Can you not?
As long as there's the gurdwara sort of layout, you can turn anywhere into a gurdwara.
Yeah, like you
Yeah.
see people get married on a beach, for example.
Yeah,
now,
yeah,
personally, for me, I just wouldn't do that.
I actually wanted to ask that. So, like, saying, you know, going abroad and stuff. I know that was your last question, but I've got one more. So, where have you guys actually played abroad? So, like, we've travelled the world quite nicely, like, with Doll and stuff.
So yeah, we've done a few. We've done Paris at Disneyland.
Yep.
We've done Florence in Italy,
Nice.
Morocco. I know you've had some pretty awesome venues.
Greece, Dubai, Bali.
You've done Dubai?
Yeah, Dubai twice.
Oh.
That's cool.
Yeah. Pretty mad.
Trying to think where else we've been. I know some of the boys have been like Cancun.
Yep.
Canada.
India as well.
Oh, I'd love
Yeah,
to
yeah.
go to a wedding in Canada.
Yeah.
Can
For
someone
sure.
listening from Canada? Please
Anyone
invite
who's getting
us?
anyone who's
We'll play
getting,
Dawn.
we will come down. Yes, and we will
Yeah,
give
I
you the
would
UK
so
setup.
love to go to Canada for a wedding.
A lot of people say that you can't match UK door players. I'm sorry, but you can't.
No.
B-town, bro. B-town.
To be fair, I went to a wedding in Canada.
Canada.
I think our ones are better, personally.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Our ones are better, or their
Yeah.
ones are better.
No, our ones.
Our ones.
I
Yeah.
think our ones.
Yeah.
I think in terms of the industry, we have the better industry. It doesn't make sense.
We
better
have
industry.
we
But
have the sickest wedding setup.
like in terms
and
of suppliers,
Yeah.
we have the better suppliers.
Yeah.
For
agreed.
sure.
Yeah.
There are some elements of their weddings that are good. I'm not gonna debate it. Like their raves, like their receptions will go on till like 3 a.m.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, for sure.
Ours are a bit more congested, a bit more rushed
Mm.
in that sense. But
Mm.
I think overall, I still think our ones, we just have everything
Yeah.
is just a little bit better in the UK.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm
agreed.
sure people not from the UK will probably argue otherwise, but
Well, I think that wraps up quite a lot in terms of how the wedding scene is going to evolve.
wait, hang on, we forgot a question. Sonny, what about your dream wedding? man?
Yeah.
Oh damn!
Yeah,
Sonny's
guys-
dream wedding.
Guys, you did this to me.
We did this to you last time. Yeah,
I think it's that seat. Right, if you're in that seat, you get forgotten.
it's the sofa.
So are we wrapping up with my dream wedding?
Yeah. Set the scene.
Yeah, set the scene for us,
I'm not
Sonny.
gonna end. I think it would be abroad, and Pav, we went to a gig in Florence, and there's a moment in Florence where I remember I was in a tux. We were in Italy on this like beautiful venue.
Tux.
Yeah, I love wearing the tux. We're in a beautiful venue. The weather was beaut. I was drinking an old fashioned, and I just remember thinking, I want this for my wedding.
Sick.
And people were just amazingly dressed, and the vibe was cool. Like somewhere warm, somewhere like I'd love to do something around the Caribbean or, around Dominican Republic. I'd love Cuba. But imagine Veradero Beach. That would be pretty awesome. Or just like Spain, Barcelona, somewhere warm, somewhere exotic.
Yeah.
Bali would so be a shout.
Oh man.
But
Honestly,
yeah,
the best gig I've ever done is in Bali.
For me, a wedding is, I don't have a very big family. Well, not in the UK anyway. For me, a wedding for me is my closest friends and family, the intimate 50 people.
Yeah.
No.
No. 30.
Your
30.
favorite,
30.
yeah, well, 30. Have your favorite people there, and I think that for me would be the perfect
Sick.
wedding. So, that's all of our weddings. So, that's the wedding.
We'll send you invites.
Yeah, we'll send you invites via Facebook.
By WhatsApp, because we don't do
Seriously,
call.
Nobody's doing a card when you open it. It smells like India.
Yeah.
Everybody gets their
Those
card
days
from
are
India.
gone.
Pav will do the Twitter invites. Sunny will do the Facebook invites. I'll do the Instagram ones.
That's it.
Sorted.
Well, that is our wedding episodes, and those are our insights on how we see the wedding industry to be like. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the In the Group Chat podcast with Vic, Sunny, and Pav.